So just when you think they couldn't pee us off any more than what they've done already, this happens. Let's begin. Now, can anyone remember a little while ago when the Welsh Labour leader, as he was back then, Mark Drakeford, decided to pee everyone off in Wales by rolling out 20-mile limit zones to basically nearly everywhere over there? And obviously that was met by, let's just say, quite a lot of peed off people. Well, it seems that Labour's version of listening to people is by listening to them and then doing the exact opposite. And I say that because, according to this article, it says that Labour may have given its strongest hint yet over the future of 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in the UK, with drivers across the country likely to be impacted by the new rules. So just what is going on then? And if they're thinking of rolling it out over here, they can just bloody well sod off. And don't get me wrong, I've got no problem with 20-mile-an-hour limit zones outside things like hospitals and schools and places like that where there's going to be lots of vulnerable people about. However, in the majority of places, you're surely fine to drive at 30 miles an hour at the minimum, unless, of course, a kamikaze pedestrian just decides to run out and test your brakes for you. Although, to be honest, it's often in those circumstances I revert back to sign language and test if my middle finger still works. But anyway, the new Transport Minister, Louise Haigh, has suggested that traffic limits should be entirely up to local areas to decide, with a laid-back approach, it says, to the councils introducing restrictions. Well, isn't that absolutely nice of her, eh? I mean, no doubt, of course, we're going to get a load of busybody people right into their local council saying, well, actually, I don't like this area 30 miles an hour. It's disgraceful that we have to put up with cars doing a sensible speed limit. No, of course, they'll cite some sort of eco-saving reasons, forgetting though, of course, that the slower you drive, the more harmful fumes, as they see it, you actually put out. And no doubt, of course, the councils will just cave in to any such demands, no doubt. Especially if they can go on their Twitter and say, oh, we're doing something wonderful, helping people out. Peeing everyone off at the same time, no doubt, eh? According to Bloomberg, though, Haigh admitted that councils who want to introduce the 20-mile-an-hour limits will have her support, which, let's face it, is going to give them even more of an incentive, isn't it? The Conservatives had pushed back with a manifesto policy to tackle the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit restrictions in Wales announced during the general election. However, Haigh has fired back at the approach and seems to allow local leaders, as in council leaders probably, to take decisive action and introduce 20-mile-an-hour limit roads as they see fit. Which, thinking about it, does anyone else think they might think, this road is now going from 30 to 20, or even worse, 40 to 20, and as such, here might be a brilliant place for a new speed camera, eh? Catching out any people who might accidentally go 1 or 2 miles an hour over the new limit, and therefore, no doubt, of course, will turn into some sort of cash cow for the local councils, eh? Haigh even told Bloomberg it was completely wrong for the previous government to say that they would dictate that from Whitehall. There's no way me sitting in my office at the DFT can say this road in Chester should be a 20-mile-an-hour road or not. It's completely ridiculous. Which, admittedly, whilst I do see her point that if she is several hundred miles away or whatever from the area, she wouldn't have as good of an idea of what the road is like compared to the local council, she should have, in my opinion, said if any council does want to impose a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit zone anywhere where there's not a school or hospital, then they must have a very good reason for it. There must be reason X, Y or Z, not just give the councils complete control, thereby allowing them to spray out 20-mile-an-hour limit zones basically everywhere, eh? It does say here the plan is likely to backfire, with Wales providing a perfect example of how a local issue can turn into a much bigger national problem. With speeds reduced from 30 miles an hour down to 20 miles an hour, and those rules came into effect last September and have proved instantly unpopular with basically everyone, eh? Or so it seems. Because it says here a new YouGov poll found that a whopping 7 out of 10 drivers, 72%, say they are opposed to the new restrictions. A staggering half, 50% of those polled admitted to be strongly against the limits. But of course, Labour just don't think about these things, do they? Or maybe, just maybe, there might be another reason why she'll let the councils do everything. And I say that because, according to this article, it says Labour's new pay-per-mile car tax scheme could track drivers' every move. So she's probably a bit busy with potentially sorting all this out, eh? Although admittedly there's always a chance I could be wrong. It says that new pay per mile car tax changes will track people's movements in a major privacy concern according to motoring experts. So just what are they saying then? Well, Ian Taylor, the ex-chairman and a spokesperson for the Alliance of British Drivers, the ABD, warned motorists that every move would be collected if a new change was introduced. And to be honest, you can really see that happening, can't you? Especially as, of course, Labour do seem to be going with some sort of Orwell 1984 movement at the moment, don't they? It does admit, though, that a new pay per mile system has yet to be announced, but there are rumours Labour is considering introducing a charge in the near future, which, let's face it, they've got to get past the October budget yet, haven't they? Which no doubt, of course, Rachel Reeves is going to pay us all off by hiking up quite a lot of things, no doubt. Speculation, though, it says it has only risen after Adam Smith, the Chief of Staff under Jeremy Hunt, admitted staff from the HM Treasury had requested that the government start preparatory work on a new road pricing scheme. And get this, Ian also warned that implementing the scheme wouldn't be cheap and highlighted how drivers will be monitored under its programme. The thing is here, if Rachel Reeves does hike up a load of things in the October budget, could that be potentially because of this? I mean, they're going to need the money from somewhere, aren't they? No doubt, of course, she'll say it's all because of the last government. It's got nothing to do with me, and of course nothing to do with the 11.6 billion or whatever it is that they want to give overseas countries to sort out their climate emergencies. But of course, let's face it, we could actually do with that money, thank you very much, but they don't like to think about things like that, do they? Ian said it's regressive taxation plus the means of implementation doesn't come cheap and will involve tracking people's movements at all times, which comes with its own privacy concern. And it's not the first time that drivers' privacy under a new car tax scheme has been discussed, so it just makes me wonder how they'll actually track our miles. I mean, will they want us to put a little box in our cars in which don't know that, of course, we'll all give them the virtual middle finger, or will we get taxed when we take our car in for an MOT? Because let's face it, we have to give the mileage for that, don't we? The London Assembly Transport Committee's Future Road User Charging in London study admitted individual privacy was one of the biggest risks of pay per mile. The report read a key theme from the committee's evidence gathering was concern over individual privacy, and this was raised by experts, it says, organisations and individuals. So surely everyone realises this, but if they go ahead with it, it seems like they don't even care, eh? There was a significant concern, it says, that expressed over invasion of privacy as part of an enforcement of any future road using charging scheme, though measures such as automatic number plate recognition, the ANPR cameras, in-vehicle GPS tracking, or via a smartphone app. Let me get this straight. They either want us to download an app, pick us up by ANPR cameras, which is going to have to be everywhere, surely, or by indeed putting a GPS box in our car or something like that. I absolutely refuse to download any app whatsoever or put a box in my car, and I personally do not like the thought at all that my car is going to be picked up wherever it goes purely to charge me, but also because, let's face it, they're going to need to keep a record of my journey so they can say, well, you did make that journey, look, here's the evidence. It's just absolutely disgraceful, isn't it? Hopefully this pay per mile system will not see the light of day, because if it does, I can see a lot of people are going to be pretty peed off, along with any future rollout of 20 miles an hour, basically replacing the 30 mile an hour limit, eh?